Welcome to grade 4 English lesson, guys. Today we're going to be learning how to write a newspaper article. Now there is an example on page 116 in your coursework books. But before we start with learning how to write a newspaper article, we're going to look at some vocabulary that you're going to be using in your comprehension exercise in the homework that I've put together for you. We've got falcon on the board. Falcon is a noun and it has 2 syllables. The stress is on the falcon. Okay, so the stress would be on the first part. Falcon. Right. The next one, thief. It's a noun and it has 1 syllable, thief. The third one is eyewitness. Now I'm going to explain to you what an eyewitness is. An eyewitness is a person who sees an act firsthand. Somebody who can validify something that has happened because they have seen it themselves. They haven't heard about it, they've seen it, so they can confirm that it is the truth or not the truth. Then detailed. Okay, detailed is an adjective. There are 2 syllables and the stress is on the first syllable. Detailed, okay? Detailed is also in-depth information about something. It's a description of something that has happened. Usually, an eyewitness gives a detailed description. Our next word, description. It is also a noun and it has 3 syllables. Description. So the stress is on the second syllable. Description. Okay, a description is a spoken or a written account of an event or of events that have occurred. Let's have a look at how we're going to be writing a newspaper article. Before we get to what's happening on the board over here, I would like to draw your attention to a punctuation called speech marks. Now, speech marks are very important when you are writing any article as you are explaining what somebody has said. So when you're referencing what somebody has said in an account of events, you need to use speech marks. With 2 speech marks. These are the speech marks. Right. The rest of the punctuation should know full stop, comma, speech marks, exclamation mark, and question mark. Another important thing to note when writing down what somebody has said is that any other punctuation mark, when we have the speech marks, happen within the speech mark. So if you're going to write something and you need to add a comma, you'll put the comma first and then you'll close the speech mark. Or if it was a question, you'll write your question, you'll add your question mark and you'll then close your speech marks. Okay, that's very important to note. Again, you guys can reference your coursework book on page 116 for anything that you might need to recap or revisit. Now let's take a look at how to write a newspaper article. A newspaper article needs to have 7 important sections in order for it to be captivating and informative. We need to have firstly a headline. So if you look at page 116, let me just get the book. The title or the headline of the newspaper article is called The Golden Falcon Flies Home. So the big heading on the top, that would be your headline. The Golden Falcon Flies Home, right? Second, have an introduction. Now I'm going to ask teacher to pause the video so that I can write the introduction in for you. Right, so it needs to have 7 things, like we said, your newspaper article. The first thing, like I was saying, is the headline, "The Golden Falcon Flies Home." That is your headline. Then it needs to have an introduction. Now, an introduction is important when writing a newspaper article, as it is the second most captivating thing to draw attention. You want people to be able to be interested in your article. You want them to read your article. So you want to make sure that you have a very good introduction. Now, the introduction on page 116 is "Thief's long nose helps police catch him." Right, so people are going to read that second. The first thing they'll read is "Golden Falcon Flies Home." The second thing that they will see is that the thief's long nose helped the police to catch him. Already we have thief, which draws attention. We have facial features, and we have police. Right. The third thing that you need to have in your newspaper article is when it happened. Guys, an exact date of when it happened. On Wednesday, the 27th of March, in 2020, so and so and so and so happened. Example. Right. Where it happened is also very important. This took place at the museum. Okay. What it was stolen, or what happened, the Golden Falcon in this case. What did the thief look like? He had dark hair in this case. And how was the crime solved? Right, how did the police catch him? How was he caught? He was caught at passport control. This is what's happening in this story. Now, just to give you guys a brief overview of what a Golden Falcon is, it is a statue that is kept in a museum, and it is a very valuable statue. It is one of the oldest, most important statues that this museum has, and it was stolen. In the book it says it was stolen, but it was found again. You can read through that article, and then your homework is asking you to read through "The Golden Falcon Flies Home," which is on the homework page that I've given to you guys. It's in the first top section, that passage. You need to read that passage and then answer the questions. There are 5 questions. There are true or false questions. So you're going to answer T for true if you think the statement is true, and you're going to answer F for false if you think the statement is false. Then the next page, I've given you 5 sentences. Each one of these sentences are without any forms of punctuation. Now remember, punctuation, full stop, comma, speech marks, exclamation, and question mark. Those are all punctuation marks, and we need them in order to have a sentence make sense. So there are 5 sentences. You need to go and have a look at where you're going to put your speech marks, and where you're going to put any other punctuation marks that belong in the sentence to make the sentence structured. Then the last page is where you guys can get creative. I would like you to write an article, a newspaper article, on a robbery that took place. I have provided space for you to write down everything you need to tell me. And I've also reminded you that you need to have a headline, an introduction. You need to include when it happened. You need to include where it happened, what the thief looked like, and how the crime was solved. You can make up your own crime. It doesn't have to be something that has really happened. So you can really just get creative and use your imaginations and do what you think is best. Okay guys, thank you for tuning in for this lesson. I'll see you next week.